Hello and welcome to the September TCL Teen Bakealong. My name is Marilyn, your teen librarian, and this is one of 3 Bakealong videos that we are doing this month. Thanks in part to a generous grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services through the Library Services and Technology Act administered by the State Library of Oregon. And in this video, we are going to make chocolate chip marshmallow cookies. Now I'm really excited for this one because I love cookies full of stuff. I like chocolate chip cookies. I'd really love to make monster cookies if you've ever made those. They have just so many things in them. And this one's got chocolate chips and it's got marshmallows, so you just got cool chocolate and warm, crunchy marshmallows, warm and crunchy and melty and all that stuff. And what's not to love? So everybody tie on your aprons and let's get started. So here are all the tools and ingredients that you'll need. We've got our fillings, our marshmallows and our chocolate chips, our sugars, which should come to you already mixed together. This is the 1/4 cup of almond milk. Yours will just be in a snacky carton. It should just be about half of that. So you can either measure out a 1/4 cup, or if you don't have a 1/4 cup measurer, just about half of that almond milk carton. We've got our butter that's been softened. Yours should be plenty soft, but if you've put it in the fridge since you got it, just have it sit out on the counter until it comes to about room temp. You'll know just when it's nice and kind of squishy. We want it to be soft to mix it in together. All of our dry ingredients are vanilla, a big bowl to mix it all together, and a wooden spoon to mix it. Now, if you've got a mixer, either a stand mixer or a hand mixer, you can definitely use that, but I'm using a wooden spoon just in case you don't have it, to show that just about anything you can mix with your bare hands. So everything's in place, let's get mixed. So the first thing we're going to do is cream together the butter and sugar. Now, you may have heard this before, but creaming in this sense doesn't actually include cream. It's just butter and sugar. That's just the name of the method. Pretty much any cookie recipe that you make is going to start with this method. I've learned this from making many a cookie. It pretty much always starts with, you take whatever fat you're using, be it butter or you can use coconut oil in place of that if you want. Whatever you use. It's essentially just the name for mixing the fat and the sugar together first. So you're gonna slap that all together until it becomes light and fluffy, which I will show you when we get there, so you'll know what that looks like. But it may take a hot second. Okay, and we're back. And that's my preheated oven going off. So that didn't take too terribly long, but it did take a second. And let me tell you, I've gotten a really good arm workout just mixing this butter and sugar together. So now that we've got that, we add in our wet ingredients, which includes our almond milk and the vanilla extract. Now, because we're mixing this liquid into a fat, it's gonna take, you want to be kind of gentle with it at first because you don't want it to, you know, smack all over the place and then you just get like milk splattering out of the bowl. But it should come together pretty quick. But just don't whip it too fast. Like I just did. I don't know if you saw that, but there it went. And there it went again. Okay, just get us. I recommend a rubber spatula for this part. It'll be good for scraping down the sides too, to get all that extra batter in there. Okay, yeah, just treat it nice and gentle. It's gonna look kind of curdled and weird at first, but that's okay. That's why we give it a good mixing, because we want that to combine. But because it's fat and liquid, it might not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily want to play normally. In fact, I'm going to gonna get a whisk together. So hopefully it'll mix. There we go. Okay, so once it's more of a uniform moosh, so to speak, Get yourself a whisk and keep that going. There we go. That's much easier to bring these things together. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily look pretty, but we've got it combined, and that's what we wanted. So now that we've got it all combined, add in your dry ingredients. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold. So just dump them on in. And here's where using either your spoon or your spatula, you're gonna fold them in. So all of that whipping and beating around we were just doing, we don't wanna do that. You wanna be sort of gentle to them. And it might take a sec to get all that dry mixed into the wet, and that's okay. Just kind of run it around and then sort of press it in like this. Press it. There we go. Just do this part a little bit more slowly. There we go. You can see it coming together. That dry is mixing in. It smells very nice. And we're just mixing until no more streaks of flour are in our batter. There we go. So once you've got your batter looking like this, nice and sturdy, pour in your chocolate chips. Sorry. And then mix those all in until they're fairly uniform. Just so you don't end up with cookies without chocolate chips in them. There we go. This is the first time I have made a chocolate chip cookie. Obviously we still had marshmallows, but first time I've made a cookie with chocolate chips in them in a long time. But they look so lovely. There we go. All right, we've got them nice and evenly mixed. We're gonna grab our cookie sheet. Now your cookie sheet is non-stick, so you don't have to worry about parchment paper, but mine are not, so that's why I put the parchment paper down. So now, part of the tricky-ish part is getting all of your cookies to be an even size. You don't necessarily want ones that are like super big or super small because they cook at different times, but you don't necessarily have to stress too much either. So I've just got a big old spoon. I just kind of I just eyeball it. You can measure it if you want to do like a tablespoon or so. But really you just need them to be big enough to press marshmallows into. So take a spoon and make 12 balls of cookie dough. All right, so I've got 12 little balls of cookie dough. I also still have some extra dough. That's fine. I'm just gonna make another batch once this one's finished, but I will just show you how to do one. So once we've got the balls of dough, I've washed my hands, which is kind of useless because they're about to get nice and sticky and messy again anyway. You're gonna take your ball of dough, put 2 to 3 marshmallows, press them into the top of it here, and then kind of cover them back up. It's not gonna, it's not gonna look pretty. There we go. But you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. If you, like me, have some leftover dough, take your schmellows, push them down into the cookie, kind of shore up those sides there, and take your leftover dough and then push that down on top. This is very messy, but it's very fun. There we go. Obviously you don't need them in there perfectly. You just want them covered up as much as you can. There we go, yeah. Okay, so then just do that 12 times. 2 to 3, I like 3, but if you've got smaller ones, you can do 2. All right, and we're back. As we can see, they became much larger because you just stuff them in and then cover them with the extra cookie dough you've got. Your hands are gonna get very sticky. So I'm going to wash my hands. And then you will put these into the preheated oven, which is at 350, for 12 to 15 minutes. So the way I go with anything that gives me times like that is always cook on the lowest end. So we'll start with 12 because you can always cook it a little bit more, but you can't cook it a little bit less. So we'll get these in the oven for 12 minutes and then we will check on them to see if they're done and we will be back. So our timer just went off. Ooh, so it might be a little bit hard to see, but they're still pretty pale. So I'm gonna leave them in for, I think we're gonna do about 2 minutes. I'm not surprised because these are stuffed cookies and there was a lot of dough. But you might also be able to see just barely those little bit of marshmallows coming through. That's perfect, that's exactly what we want. So we're gonna do this for just a couple more minutes. Again, we don't wanna cook them for too long because we don't want them to be dry. But yeah, just 2 more minutes and then we'll be good. All right, so I did an extra 2 minutes and you can see we got some goldenness on top, but the sides are still pretty pale. Again, that's good because they'll also still continue to cook for just a little bit once they're finished. So I'll lift these up here. Now you're gonna let them cool for a couple minutes on your cookie sheet and then move them to a cooling rack if you have one. If not, just let them cool completely on your cookie sheet, especially with something like this. We just kind of want everything to settle down. Definitely still eat one warm if you can, but if not, just make sure they cool enough so you can touch them. So we're gonna let these cool and then we'll give them a try. Okay, our cookies are cool. Oh, so now you just gotta pick the best one. Let's do this guy. There we go. All right, let's give it a try. That's really good. It's just a good chocolate chip cookie. It's nice and chewy on the inside, crunchy on the outside. So these were super messy to make. But darn it if they aren't really good. And not too hard, frankly. So I hope you enjoyed these. I hope you enjoy making them. I hope you experiment with some of your own cookies as well, because honestly, you do chocolate chips, you can add just about anything you want to a cookie, as long as you have enough dough. Because if you've got too much dough and not enough cookie, then you just end up with a lump of stuff. But anyway, I hope you had fun, and we will see you in the next one.